Yesterday was my birthday, and despite getting happy birthday wishes from a lot of friends through Facebook and a phone call from my oldest daughter, um, was sad through most of the day because I didn't hear from a couple of people very important to me, namely my brother and sister. My brother in particular, and both of them really have been upset at me for a while because of exposing my family, as I've mentioned before, to my ex-wife, uh, who just has said some horrible, horrible things through Facebook, double-edged sword of social media, and this one email she sent directly to my brother saying stuff that's almost kind of comically racist, if not for the ugliness of it. You know, like someone like Donald Trump, he says racist stuff. I can laugh at it, but it's a bit too personal when your ex-wife is saying things like, "Well, your family should have never come to the United States. Should have stayed in Korea because you're a bunch of losers," or I mean, just horrible stuff that I don't even want to get into. But the point is that, this is my brother who's being exposed to this nonsense, and I did this through my choice of mate. And anyway, so they've been upset at me, and we haven't been in close contact. But like I said, I was kind of sad. But by the end of the evening, around 9:30 or so, he actually did call me and wish me a happy birthday, and had his kids wish me a happy birthday, and it was very sweet. And I was actually moved to tears, and got me thinking about this phenomenon that's always fascinated me, of happy tears. In fact, this is something in Bataille, the French philosopher I wrote my dissertation on, that I also thought was really interesting. Despite my problems with certain aspects of Bataille's thought, now, since I found my equanimity, or at least started on the path to that through meditation, there are still other aspects of his thought that I think are quite on target. And this phenomenon of happy tears is one of them, where it's possible for a human being to just get reduced to tears, where it's the sense of self dissolves, and you just feel emotion, and it's not really you feeling it. The emotion kind of carries you through, hence the expression "reduced to tears." And this can happen, through tragedy, but this can also happen through joy and happiness. And it's quite a interesting phenomenon. And I think, on the one hand, when you're talking about being kind of carried over or carried away by emotions, typically it's a very kind of negative thing. When you think about things like anger, for example, or depression, it's not a healthy thing, a good thing, for a person to let those emotions get the better of him or her. But I think something very different is going on with other types of emotions, like sympathetic joy, one of the four immeasurables of Buddhism, mudita in Pali, that there are instances where a person can genuinely just feel joy because of our interconnectedness, where it's not about you feeling good, like there's a self there celebrating the pleasure one feels. It's a dissolution of self, and not like I said, in a kind of the negative sense of anger or something like that, where really there's still a self there feeling this, and that's really the problem. But where there's an empathy, there's a connectedness involved. This is also related to another experience. It's July 4th weekend, and while most of the country is celebrating our nation's birthday, so to speak, this is also the anniversary of my grandmother's death, and my mother's mother. And my grandmother, I mean, to me, it's been like 12 years now, but I still remember her very, I don't know, I don't even know how to express it, how important she was to me. Because in a lot of ways, she represents to me kind of pure love. Unlike parents who have expectations and things like that, grandparents, and particularly in the case of my grandmother, there were no expectations from me or any of her grandchildren. She, and especially towards me, she just exuded this pure love. where all she cared about was my well-being and happiness. And I have all sorts of stories I can relate about her. I think I mentioned, well, not actually in a video post, but something I wrote a while ago about how at my cousin's wedding, this was about 3 years ago now, and I was in a very bad state at the time. A lot of stuff, a lot of drama going on at the wedding, which I feel very bad about since this is a time of her celebration, and yet, I somehow drew way too much attention because of the situation I was in with my family. But during the ceremony, and there were like beautiful wedding vows that she and her husband Mike exchanged. But during that, because of all this drama with my family, I was kind of sitting apart from everyone else, and I was bawling like a baby. In retrospect, I feel kind of silly, like I was making a spectacle of myself. Like I said, it's her wedding, and I don't want to make it about me. I tried to be discreet, so there was some kind of, ugly egoism going on there. But at the same time, there was something genuine about that because I really felt the love. And my cousin Elaine, who was getting married, she and I were probably the two closest to our grandmother. And that was the one time I can ever remember feeling like the presence, the energy, so to speak, of a departed loved one. That, it was so clear to me in the moment that my grandmother, herself, her body, it was gone, but her energy, her aura, not to get too, new agey, but there was something like very real about her presence there, and it was overwhelming. And like I said, I was bawling, and these tears, it wasn't tears of sadness, it was a happy occasion despite all the drama with my family at the time. But again, it was just a reduction to tears. And that maybe wasn't as pure an experience because, like I said, these complications and my egoism at the time. But I think at the core there was still this dissolution of self in mudita, in joy that's not about feeling good about yourself or feeling good within yourself, but it's tied to our interconnectedness, that there's more to being, there's more to life than just our kind of selfish pleasures and the fulfillment of our individual desires. That there are times where we can just really feel how things are supposed to be. Not just how they're supposed to be, how they actually are, and how we can get lost in these illusions of selfishness. And and the phone call from my brother last night just reminded me of that possibility. That can be a reality if we all just work to cultivate the best in us. Again, I can't emphasize enough the importance of meditation for myself, for a lot of people who are kind of especially, I think, trapped by this prison of the ego. How that allows one to learn to break out of it and see the truth, what's really important, our relations with others. Okay, happy tears. I think that's it. Thanks. Bye.